actually like this one. Okay,
Okay.
it's a little spicy. That's a pun. You'll understand it a little bit.
Okay.
Did you hear about the guy that wanted to put his ashes in salsa?
No.
He wanted to tear his wife's ass up one more time.
Oh my
That's pretty sweet.
Welcome to the Racing Home Podcast. You're joined by your hosts, Nick and Fez, and we're also joined by another guest today, Richard.
Hello.
Richard King.
My name is
King.
Richard. Nice to be on again.
Your Instagram handle is Rich King, so I was like, okay, well,
That is true.
Something like
But yeah,
that.
Richard was on the podcast with us back at episode number 2. Him and I had just finished up the track sprint, so we got him back on because we're going to be talking about tow rigs later, since Fez and I, we each have our own version of a tow rig, but Richard is currently in the market for one. But before we get into those topics, y'all want to recap the weekends? We've been on a 2-week hiatus, so apologies to the 5 listeners that we got. We did not do a recording last week, but
You're gonna break them if you go another week without it.
I know.
nah, they'll be fine. This
How
is
many
honestly
listeners
just
do
for
we
us.
actually have?
I can pull those metrics up a little bit later. But actually, I'll pull them up right now. And you, Fez, what do you got going on with your car? Actually, or we go with Richard. Either one, whoever wants to talk first. I know Richard has his rap.
You go first.
Yeah, so I
Start off with
recently.
what car you have.
This is my C5. But I drive a C5 Corvette. I built for Autocross primarily, mainly for SECA KMS and Super Late model for King of the Mountain. It's an Outlaw Optima car. Kind of falls in that sort of category. Technically, it's track mod and grid life, although I've yet to do an event. So I had my first autocross with the wrap this Sunday, so yesterday, and I don't think the car likes the wrap because yesterday was the first time I've never been able to finish a run. So my air filter fell off. My air filter and MAF fell off and decided to make the splitter its new home temporarily. So I was going down the downhill part of the course, and then my engine just starts stalling. I was like, well, what's happening? And it dies going up the hill. So that's the first time I've ever had to push the car off course. And then I'm like, I thought I had set the tire pressures right. And I'm like checking tires and the pressure's getting low. And I had to add air. I'm like, well, am I just getting distracted? Is my ADHD brain going crazy? And lo and behold, I crossed the finish line after my last run. And the tire, my left rear is at 10 PSI.
8 PSI?
So 10 PSI. I normally run at
Oh, okay.
28.
Gotcha.
And I park the car and there's an audible leak coming from the tire. So I pull the tire and there's a visible hole in it. So I just screw a screw in it to limp it home. They didn't have any plug kits on me, so
You used a screw to plug your tire.
I did. Yeah. So
That's amazing that worked. I would have thought it would have gone the opposite direction.
I limped it home and it seemed to work out okay. So I just got to plug the tire in. Plus, these are way past their prime anyway. So next big purchase is a new set of tires, which Fez I'll probably hit up
Fez. I was gonna say hit up Fez. Fez got that tire plug.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about that offline for sure, dude. I got you.
Yeah.
Real quick, Fez. On the note of the number of listeners that we have, so the week that we did the trivia podcast, about 2 episodes ago, episode number 11, that week we had 101 total plays.
Hey.
So
Damn.
over 100. That's pretty solid, and it's
Pretty
gone
good.
down ever since then.
I mean,
Because we only had one other episode, and we just talked about track stuff.
yeah.
Also, Arrow left me. Yeah, what's going on with your car, Fez? What's going on with your weekend?
I've been just stressed out with a lot of stuff that's going on because I feel like I have a lot to do and not enough time. Like every off season thing happens. Like March is a time to cram everything in 1 month, you know?
Yeah.
But also Ramadan's about to happen in March, so I'll be fasting for the whole month, and I can't really work on my car when I'm fasting. It's kind of difficult to do all that.
Yeah.
So trying to get everything done basically this coming weekend. I need to. I got my SBL control arms, tie rods, tow arms, and all that stuff. So I'm going like almost full sphericals everywhere. So that's gonna happen probably this weekend. And then what else? I rebuilt my brake calipers last night. I need to bleed my brakes. There's air in my lines, obviously, because I want to rebuild that.
Yep.
And then I need to install my harness that I still need to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'm in the same boat.
And then I bought spare doors, spare fenders I need to cut up for fender vents.
Oh, you already bought everything. Holy shit.
Yeah, I already bought everything. Spare doors, they're gutted. So basically, like, there's no windows or anything like that in there. I need to get those wrapped and what's it called? And
You
make
gotta like
a.
build a whole car, dude.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that sounds.
You
You have
gotta
to
like
build a
build a
whole
whole
car in a
car.
weekend.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the doors, I feel like doors and fenders I'm gonna wait till after because I'm not in a rush for that because I need to get them wrapped first as well. And then I also got my wing clear coated with satin clear coat, and I got my wing stands anodized black. They were silver before. So I need to install that. I also bought another trunk because my old trunk had hella Bondo on it from the big cuts that I had from the
Right. From your
chassis
previous
mount.
wing.
Yeah, the chassis mount wing. So I have to get that done, and then to get that wrapped, and I'm potentially doing a livery.
Oh, dang.
Because I'm already like half rewrapping half the car.
I mean, the doors are the majority of the livery anyways. So
Yeah,
if you're going to rewrap it.
I am looking at doing a delivery. I'm waiting for my tax returns to come back, and I'm just gonna spend some of it on that.
Dope.
Yes, it's a lot of work to do to get the car ready.
So if you're gonna do majority of this weekend. By the way, I'm heading up to Dallas, so let me know if you need some help once I'm free of my whatever chores I'm doing for my mother in Dallas. And
I definitely need help.
Yeah, I'm down. Let me know if you need me to bring anything from Austin. But I understand what you mean by the brake. So like likewise. So since we last spoke, I rebuilt my brake calipers, so I got that done. I did bleed the brakes though, so I'm good in that department. I still need to put the car on the ground and actually like bed the new pads into the rotors.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I do? Finish the seat install, the Recaros.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest issue is that they're not perfectly at the height where I want them. Like it's close enough to the steering wheel and just high enough. I'm a short person, so like it just barely works for me, but it's not ideal. Like
the Recaros, you said?
Mm-hmm. What?
Sorry, what? I didn't get it. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I zoned out. I don't know.
No, so like it's all installed,
Okay.
but like after sitting in it, I was like, it's like I can make it work, but I want it to be a little bit higher and a little bit closer to the steering wheel.
I've been there, and I have a fixed mount. So it's like a roll pain in the Corvettes sometimes. I mean, they have a mount that makes it as easy as it can be from AMT Motorsport. I promise you, investing in like the perfect ergo setup will pay its dues. Because when you're the most comfortable in the car, like I even went down to like the eighth of an inch on how my wheel is spaced. Like that's how
Your steering
into
wheel.
it I got. Yeah, steering wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, trust me, getting that perfect setup ergo wise is gonna really pay off because it means that every time you get in the car, you're gonna be comfortable. It's not like, oh, I changed this or that. Like how you're connected to the car, that goes a long way. Because I mean, bear in mind, like Corvette stock seats suck. So going to the Sparko Sprint I have was a huge upgrade, and then that AMT mount is, I mean, they literally will warranty it if you crash it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
They'll send you a new one if it bends. Like I got, and when I had my accident, I messaged the owner of the company. I was like, yeah, I hit a wall. He's like, okay, let me know if you need a new seat mount. I'll send you a new one.
Sweet.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just gonna do. I got a new side mount on the way over here that are taller.
You're on the rails, all right?
Yeah, I'm on the rails, and they're as far forward as the rails will allow them to go. I still need it to be a little bit closer, so I may need to drill a new hole into the base plate to get it just another like half an inch further forward. And then what else did I do? Oh, the purge valve. So like the Focus, all cars have a purge valve. Or most newer cars at least, and the Focus, apparently Hyundais are also notorious for failing after around like 80,000 miles. So I got a new one installed with a inline fuel filter, so that way if there's any contaminants that would be fucking up the filter. Great, now I have to mark this episode as explicit. It should not hit the valve, and so the valve should be good, which means my whenever I go fill up the car, it doesn't have a rough idle. And what was the other problem? Oh, apparently some people, if they go long enough with a bad or faulty purge valve, the fuel tank will actually deform and like suck in because it's under vacuum. I haven't seen it personally, but I've seen people online, so it's like, shit, I don't want that to happen to me. They find out whenever their car says that they're at a quarter tank, and then they run out of gas. And then they look underneath and find out, like, oh, my fuel tank is smaller.
Interesting.
Because it collapsed. So I got that purge valve installed, the new one. I
saw a video of someone's fuel just shooting out of the gas cap, just like leaking out. I wonder if that was
that means it was under positive pressure. Wait, well, I don't know. Would that be positive pressure, or would it just be like, I don't know. I really don't know how the nozzle works. Like the fact that it knows just to mechanically automatically stop, it blows my mind that they figured that out with pressure differentials. Yeah,
is
that's all
going on. Pressure differentials, or is it because like they just it touches fuel and it's like, oh, nope. Okay, I'm full.
It's not touching anything. It's based off pressure differentials, which is why like some pumps will stop early. Because the nozzles, they all stick in. It's all going into the hole the same distance. But it's pressure differentials that triggers the fuel pump to stop automatically. I'll have to look it up and pull up a diagram exactly.
We lost half our audience. The two people.
Yep, we already did. Yeah. My bad. Anyway, so the Focus, that's the current status of the Focus. I still have a shit ton to do before Super Lap Battle. Like, got to build a rear seat platform. I'm not competing in Super Lap Battle, just attending as a spectator. But yeah, rear seat platform, wastegate actuator install, high pressure fuel pump and injectors, spark plugs, and then fill up with E85 and then start tuning.
I may not make it.
No. Do you want me to tow your car? Oh, because your car would be getting worked on.
I'll be there personally, but I don't know if my car will make it.
We could work on your car at Super Lap Battle. How about that?
What?
Work on your car at Super.
That's a very interesting
proposition.
Use of time there.
Exactly. Yeah. Why would I do that?
It's like other people that are actually competing or working on their cars. So like, yeah, I'm thrashing to get ready for the next session. Nick's just like, I'm fixing Fez's shit for fun.
For fun, for a show.
No, it's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Anyways, it'd still be cool to have you down here.
Yeah, if I can get all the parts installed in time and get the car aligned, I will be down there.
Why do you need it aligned if you're not going to drive it? You're going to tow it down, right?
I mean, I still want to go to Lime Rock and stuff with it.
Oh, that's true. That would be a lot of fun. Worst case, bring the Corolla.
Corolla Cross. I don't have the Corolla anymore.
No. Okay, never mind. Bring the Tundra. We'll go to off-roading. Oh, but that's a perfect little segue into tow rigs. Well, sweet. Yeah.
We didn't plan that.
Nothing at all. So Fez and I, we both have our tow rigs. Fez has his 2022 or 23? 22 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. So it is a monster of a truck that can also basically do little mini Baja runs. But it's a sweet truck, but also a very expensive truck.
Not for me.
Not for you. Perks of being a Toyota employee, so he's taking advantage of that perk. Whereas me, on the other hand, Samsung and Richard and I, we don't work directly together, but we work for the same company. Our company does not offer any cars in America. Technically, in Korea, you can buy a Samsung car, but in America, you cannot.
Okay.
And the Samsung car just a rebadge Renault, however you say that, the French company. So my car personally is a 2020 Ford Expedition, the baby version, the short one, not the suburban length one. And it's 2-wheel drive, not 4-wheel drive. So not as off-road worthy, but I did not get stuck at the lava rocks with you on the way to California.
Yeah, because you didn't go where I wanted to go.
I know. All I saw where you were going, I was like, there's no fucking way. And you yourself almost got stuck, even in 4 low.
No, I was not. I never went down to 4 low. I went to 4 high.
Fair. Nonetheless,
and I was full air, all like 40 psi in there. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah. If we had air down, you would have been okay. So yeah, different tow rigs for different use cases. Like the majority of my time is spent on the highway and having more than 5 people in the car. Like this, the wedding weekend for Carol and I, we had everyone piled in, 7 people inside the Expedition. So having 3 rows was perfect, and it never saw dirt, so it doesn't need to have 4-wheel drive. Maybe one day I'll get a 4-wheel drive rig.
It's nice to have, right? Like I don't off road very often anymore either, but it's just nice to know that my truck can do it. So when we do get a chance to go off roading, I'm not like, oh, can I ride with you? I just take my own truck.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I do. It is in the future.
That is one thing I thought about for a while, because my initial want for a tow rig actually came from Nick, because Nick was kind enough to let me borrow his Expedition to tow my car to SCCA Nationals last year from Austin to Lincoln, Nebraska and back. And I was like, I want a tow rig. And I'm like, wait, I'm going to want 4-wheel drive. Even though 2-wheel drive is cheaper and gets better gas mileage, all that. I was like, it's going to be something I don't need until I do need it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I want to also be an adventure truck and travel with it and whatnot. So that's when I was like, okay, no matter what I'm going to get, it is going to be 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's definitely better to have 4-wheel drive because like you never know when you actually need it. You might be out, you might move to the Midwest or you might move to like the Northwest where it snows and then you're fucked with a 2-wheel drive truck, right? So it's nice to have a 4-wheel drive truck.
Some people would argue, well, then if that does happen, you sell it.
You can.
Get a truck with 4-wheel drive if that time comes.
Secondly, 4-wheel drive trucks hold their value better than 2-wheel drive trucks do.
That is true. So I definitely agree with that. So I would say, honestly, don't consider a 2-wheel drive truck if it's brand new. You can consider used, and that's the Expedition is a used vehicle because it took that 2-wheel drive depreciation hit already. So I was okay already going ahead and buying 2-wheel drive because it doesn't hold its value, but I bought into a car that already lost its value. So in my opinion, I'm good. I didn't take the hit that the first owner took.
You also bought your Expedition like at the height of truck prices.
No, prices were coming down.
Not as low as they are right now.
Yeah.
That's true. I should go and look on too. I bought it last May of 23. So prices were like at a peak in 22, not 23.
So let's talk about the purpose, right? Like my purpose for my truck is to be able to tow long distance in comfort and be able to off-road when I want it to off-road, right? I have the luxury of working at a company that allows me to get that for cheap. If I was not working for Toyota, I probably would not be able to afford this truck. So I probably wouldn't have that. I'd probably have like a 2-wheel drive Silverado or like a 5.7 Tundra or something like that, right? Secondly, Nick's purpose is, as he said, he wanted something as a 7-seater. It can take his family to point A to point B, and then he doesn't really care about off-roading as much anymore, right now at least. And that can still tow comfortably. Yep. Richard, what's your goal with this?
I think, honestly, Fez, you kind of stole the words from my mouth. Like something, right? Because when we tow our race cars, because all of our cars are technically streetable. I mean, mine's kind of pushing the limit of not being streetable. But at the same time, it's like when we tow our vehicles, it's going to be over long distances, like across state lines. So you want something that can do it comfortably. You want something that can do it safely. And to be honest, like I've always been into off-roading stuff. Like my dad was friends with a bunch of Jeep people growing up. So that like always got me into it. So definitely looking for something that fills that niche, but also that's going to be my daily driver. And that's kind of when, for me, the decision to look for into like a newer midsize as opposed to a full size kind of became my MO, especially when I drove a new Chevy Colorado. Kind of changed my perspective, but we'll get more on that in a little bit.
So what are some top 3 trucks that you're looking at, or trucks or SUVs?
So probably definitely Ford F-150, 28.
Like I said, mid-sized, and then you went to F-150.
Well, I'm saying that like no, getting that out of the way, right? That was like because the way I thought about it is my situation's a little unique in the sense that my dad and he has a farm, so we're looking for like a very specific size of trailer. And like I don't think of the Tacoma or like an older Colorado that isn't a diesel or something like that and do that comfortably with the Corvette on it with all the extra stuff I'd bring. So
New Tacoma maybe can.
My initial shop was for F-150s. That's what I was saying. Like, but essentially, It's going to be between like a new Colorado or when the new Ranger comes out with a 2.7. That'll also be something on the table. But I noticed the Ranger pricing is really high.
Yeah.
And the Colorado has already been out for a year, even though there's been some recent news about it. They're stopping production on it for a little bit, because of software issues and cracked engine blocks from the factory.
Oh
Yikes.
shit.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, I guess so. I actually recently joined a lot of Colorado forums, and to answer your question, Fez, like directly, I want a new Colorado. That's what I found to be like. That's kind of the number one on my list. But I joined a lot of forums, and they have tons of software issues all the time. I
You want
constantly
the brand new Colorado, or do you want like a used one?
the 2.7. I don't want to buy brand new. I want a used Z71 trim, four-wheel drive Colorado.
I think the Z71 is a sweet spot compared to the higher ZR2, because it still has like the off-road bits that you would need to go down a dirt road and get to the can spot. But at the same time, it's not crazy to where the ZR2 it has limited tow capacity, because you do want to tow with it, and the ZR2 would be squatting with that softer suspension.
So Zach towed his Corvette from Arizona back to Texas in his ZR2. He had an additional leaf spring in there for added stiffness, and he said it was fine. I don't know if you could tow at the speed limit with that. I think that might be just a mid-size pickup concern. But I would also look at if your budget allows, and if you're looking at newer trucks, look at the new Tacoma as well, because the new Tacoma has like 400 foot-pounds of torque or something like that. The hybrid one, at least. And I don't know what the payload capacity would be for that, but it'd be pretty close.
I think the new Tacoma and the new Canyon, they both are 4-cylinder turbocharged models. The Tacoma has the hybrid. Now, something Fed does the new Tacoma, are all models hybrids, or is it just the higher end models come with the hybrid?
It's the higher end models, and then I think limited and platinum or something like that. You can also option that for a hybrid versus a normal one. Same as the Tundra, because like Tundra isn't offered hybrid in all of them. You can option a hybrid in limited, platinum, 1794, capstone, etc. So basically, the base models are not offered as hybrids, but everything else might be.
I gotcha. And yeah, you're right about car prices. They have come down a decent amount. So like the same Expedition, by the way, for me, if I bought it today, would be about 5,000 less. There's 7,000 less than what I bought mine a year ago. Rip. I could have bought all my car parts for this year.
My brother lost 50 grand in his M5 in 2 years.
That hurts.
One of my managers has a Taycan. I know he's hurting too.
Oh, dude, the EVs, like the Taycan, the Audi e-tron, they're going for half the price.
Yeah. You know, my mother, she has the Ioniq 5. Now she drives what was my father's Model Y, but we still have the Ioniq 5 in the garage. And recently I was looking like, all right, well, now we can actually are legally allowed to go and sell it. And I looked online. I was like, you know what? Maybe we should hold on to it instead, actually. Like, is this car worth holding on to and turning into a little side vehicle for whenever family from Colombia come to visit? They were interested in buying it from us and just keeping it. But yeah, prices have slumped. But
right now's the time to buy.
True.
Speaking of not sorry, go ahead.
Okay, are interest rates still high?
Interest rates are still like 7%, I think 7 to 8%.
Man.
But I'm like pretty much convinced that I'm probably gonna buy a G80 M3 or an M2 by the end of the year.
Okay.
That'll be pretty dope daily. That'll be a really nice daily.
Another reason I had mentioned the F-150 too is they have reduced rates on F-150s. And I'm like, for a full-size truck, I could just get so much money off like an XLT. You can get like the luxury equipment group on an XLT. I'm like, God, living with a full-size truck would suck, but the deals right now are so good on full-size compared to mid-size.
Full-size pickup trucks, living with them isn't as bad when you're in Texas because the roads are so massive.
Yeah.
It does suck, parking and all that shit, but Yeah, I would not sell your Mazda, for example. If that's what you're thinking about doing, is like selling the I forgot what car. What's it? What's it
Mazda
called?
3.
Mazda 3. There you go. Yeah, Mazda 3. If you're thinking about selling it to get the truck, it's gonna be difficult.
But yeah, hence why I'm like pretty set on a midsize.
Yeah,
I think
but
also how often
I will say I've had a midsize pickup that towed my car, and I've had a full size pickup that's towed my car. A long distance, like 14, 15 hours, right? It's a night and day difference. Like, I would rather suffer on like my daily drives and not suffer on those 15, 16 hour long drives when I'm towing my car.
What year midsize truck did you have?
I had a 2020 Tacoma
Okay.
with the 2.7, I think it's a 2.7 V6. It's a shit truck.
No.
Like,
It was a 3.5. The Tacoma was 3.3. Because the 4Runner has a 4 liter. Crap,
it's a
what are Toyota
smaller
engines?
than is it? I
I
think it's a
don't think so.
3.5. It's a 3.5. You're right.
3.5.
2GR.
Yeah, because
Tacoma.
the Tacoma and the Ridgeline both had the same displacement. Actually, it's fucking wild that my Expedition has a 3.5 as well. It's just amazing to see the difference that two snails slapped onto the side of each exhaust bank helps out with power.
Sorry, the Tacoma had a 2.7 4-cylinder and a 3.5 V6. I had the 3.5 V6.
Yeah, but that
I
thing
was
was screaming going up the hill.
maxed out. I was maxed out on my. I was over the payload capacity, but I was also maxed out on the towing capacity. I think the towing capacity was 6,800 pounds, and I was like probably around 6,000 already. So it's pretty close to it. It was miserable. I just did not enjoy driving it. It could not go over 70 miles an hour comfortably. I was white knuckling most of the way. Squatted a lot. It was great off. It was great off road, and it was great to drive every day. But man, did it suck towing with it. So when I moved to the Tundra, like, I don't even know there's a trailer behind me, and it's just comfortable.
That's how I felt about Nick's
Mm-hmm.
Expedition.
Yeah, the Tundra's even better.
It's
Because
just
the thing with the Expedition and the Tundra that you feel different, like separating power, the chassis, because the Expedition is shorter, whenever it does go over bumps, like I feel the front end moving a little bit more than Fez's Tundra. But that also has to do with the fact that Fez's Tundra weighs a little bit more. But if you're already considering a truck, it's going to have that longer wheelbase, so that may not be as big of an issue.
Midsize won't be as long as this. It'll be a little bit shorter than the Expedition, actually.
The wheelbase? I think the wheelbase is longer than the Expedition.
For a Ranger?
Yeah, for a Ranger crew cab.
We're going to pause and look up these answers and get back to you.
Unleash Google.
We are a factual podcast. We do not lie on this podcast.
Unless we're playing Jeopardy. No, I'm just kidding. There was no lying in Jeopardy. Fact check there. Unless you're cheating. Ford Ranger dual cab.
Dang. I'm looking at the new Colorado has max torque of 430 foot-pounds.
That's pretty good.
I'm trying to find.
That's really healthy.
I think it's like close to 7,000 pounds. The max towing capacity, like if you configure it right, because you got to get like tow package and you got to have the high output motor.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. Okay, so I was right. The Ford Ranger does have a longer wheelbase. Ford Ranger is 128 inches and Expedition's 122. Expedition, that is for the short one, like mine. The Suburban, the longer one, does have a longer wheelbase, but the short one is 122 inches. So 6 more inches.
That's plenty. That's pretty big.
It's huge. Any case,
Huge.
Yeah, it really comes down to what your use case is. Also, Richard, when you do tow, where are you thinking to tow out to? Are you going across the country, to Grill Off events or NASA events?
Yeah,
SCCA. Okay.
That's like if I'm going to like Dallas or Houston or Beeville for an autocross, I'm gonna, drive the car on the street. But anything other than that, or if it's like maybe like LS Fest, where there's a lot of really high speed stuff and it's a lot of launches, puts the car at more risk for catastrophic failure. I'll tow it there probably.
The other thing you can do, just go to Enterprise or Hertz or any rental car agency and just rent a mid-sized truck. You can. I've seen the new Colorado at the rental car agencies. You can rent it out and tow with it and see how it feels. And
You're
then
not
that way,
supposed to tow with them, but I mean, how are they gonna know?
this is you're
For
you can think about it,
1995, you can
Richard.
tow with this mother.
What'd you say?
For
For
1995, you
1995,
can tow with this mother.
the U-Haul.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
that's
also
true.
add that if you're towing less than 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours, a mid-size pickup is more than okay.
Yeah, it's those long, like 12-plus-hour drives in a day.
Mhm. If
Maybe
it's a
not 12.
multi-day drive, then no, don't get a full size.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I don't know. Like, I'm
You
not
think
worried
it
about the
really
engine
was
anymore.
more chassis or more power as that
Both,
was limiting you? Both.
both. The V6 was lackluster, dude. It was the gear
Yeah.
hunting was terrible. It could barely pull up a hill. I remember when we were towing with the GX, Reza's GX going to Colorado. We were flooring it and slowing down.
Yeah. So, well, how much power does Raza GX have?
About the same as my Tacoma. I
Yeah.
think like
Okay.
2
To be
something.
fair, we were in a mountain range at 9,000 feet of elevation. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
It
going to
was,
California in my pickup truck, my Tundra, like I was comfortably
yeah.
going the speed limit over those mountain passes.
Yeah, there. I agree. Same thing with the expedition. There was not a single pass going through the mountains where I was worried about power. I actually almost like practically tested every single pass at the steepest incline. I was like, can I still accelerate? And the answer was always yes. There's always more than enough power to accelerate going up a hill at elevation. But a lot of that had to do with the turbos now. So I'll be very curious to see the new Colorado, the new Canyon, the new Ranger, and see how those mid-size trucks do, because they do have turbos. So theoretically, they can maintain their power curve or maintain the amount of power even at elevation. They won't be down on power like a naturally aspirated truck is.
So the new Colorado, I've been looking like randomly googling this.
Mm-hmm.
Can tow 7,700 pounds at full tilt.
What was the tow capacity of the Tacoma, Fez?
6,800.
Okay, so Colorado's not too much more.
I'll have to
I'm
ask
thinking
people, honestly. I need to
900
like start going on these forums that I was joining. Like say, what if you people towed and what do you honestly think of it?
I also
Yeah.
have a buddy that tows it with his first gen GX from I think he's in Pennsylvania to all the Grid Life events. He's towing like 8-9 hours.
And
He's fine with it.
Yeah.
with what? Oh, the GX?
GXs are
Yeah.
so nice. I had a buddy who recently bought one, and that'd be
Yeah.
another great daily drivable tow rig, to be honest.
Yep.
But
I'm
And we can
thinking about
just like,
trading my truck in
I'm
for the
thinking,
GX.
like, now that I think about it, with how much I'd spend on a lightly used Z71 Colorado, I can buy a lot of GX for like
yeah.
43,000.
And the other thing too with the GX is you look around at any of these events that we go to, and there are a lot of GXs that people are using, and it's awesome seeing them. Some of them have tents, and they're out camping next to their cars in the paddock on the roof of their GXs. So that's a really good option. And then the other cars that are popular, obviously pickup trucks. There just really are not too many Tacomas or Rangers or
I was talking with someone at the Autocross
Colorado.
yesterday, and Mazda's coming out with a CX70, which is essentially the CX90, but with 2 doors instead of 4. And I guess it can tow like almost 6,000 pounds because it's rear-wheel drive and it has that inline 6 turbo. And I guess it just got unveiled, and it quite literally is a CX90, but with two it's just a 2-row instead of a 3-row, and that saves weight, which technically adds to your towing capacity.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think you mentioned I don't think you mentioned this, Richard, but did you mention or talk about your dad having the new F-250?
Oh yeah. So my dad
Let's
just
do
bought.
Also, I
that.
just got back. I was out. My internet dropped for a
I
second.
was like, why? Why does
Oh.
he look frozen? Like he's maintaining this pose perfectly.
Yeah, I
And I was
did
up.
not even notice.
Oh,
But yeah,
I
Richard.
feel like
So
I
like,
missed a lot.
no, you're fine. Richard, but your dad has a brand new F-250 that my understanding is that he would be willing to let you borrow to if needed to travel across the country. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. He said he's like,
So then, like, you can have a mid-sized truck, take advantage of the fuel economy, of the easier parking opportunities, and then still use it if you need to tow up to Dallas, tow to Houston. Those like 6 hours and under tow travels.
Mhm.
You can use the mid-sized truck, but then if you do a multi-day trip, you can borrow your dad's truck, and then your dad could still have the mid-sized truck to while his big truck is gone. So if he needs to run into town to pick up some, I don't know, what do country boys do? Pick up a bale of
his
hay,
farm shit.
yeah, farm stuff, and like throw something to the bed of the truck. Realistically, the mid-sized truck should be able to do the job. And then
Yeah.
if not, he has a trailer there too, right?
Right.
Utility trailer. Yeah,
Well,
I think
yeah,
the
he has.
mid-sized truck is the answer.
Yeah, I mean
Problem
that
solved.
he has the 7.3 Godzilla motor
Oh my
in it.
Damn.
So it's really funny how the story worked because he's been wanting a truck, like a farm truck. Like he lives on like 10 acres. He's got a full like 70 by 40 metal shop, like which has no race cars in it. He's never been a car guy. He's just been a farm guy who loves RVing and camping and doing redneck shit. And
Mhm.
he for the last 10 years has talked about buying this truck. And then he starts kind of getting a little more serious about it. He starts sending me ads. I'm like, okay. Now he's getting a little serious. He's like, I test drove the Dodge, I test drove the Chevy, and then he test drove a Ford, and he really liked it. And then when he started to get serious about buying it, he's like, well, I'm gonna buy new because the interest rates are better and I could get incentives with it. And it turns out he can get whatever the X plan is for Ford because of how much Ford
Mhm.
stock he owns. So he got employee pricing
Oh,
from Ford.
Dude, that's
And
awesome.
we go to this local dealership in San Antonio, right? Or he does. I wasn't there. He meets with the same salesman that he test drove the same like another F-250 when he was like window shopping 10 years ago. I guess
Mhm.
he's like him and all his friends go to that salesperson at this local dealer. And it just so happens like, oh, we have this order canceled on an XLT. He wanted an XL because he just wanted the basic truck. He's like, we got an XLT coming. We don't know when it's going to be here. It should be here in the next few days. That you can pick it up. But it just so happens that the truck the car salesman owned was a newer Godzilla powered F-250. So the salesman's like, you just want to drive my truck?
Mhm.
And so my dad test drove the salesman's 23 F-250 Godzilla. And then
Mhm.
as they're pulling back into the dealership, this semi truck that has that canceled order F-250 arrives at the
Oh,
dealer.
I see.
My dad's like, I want it. And he got it for basically the price of most XLs he was looking at.
It's a good salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
honestly, the salesmen that just like hand the keys over to you and say, "Hey, go try it out." Those are the ones that know how to actually like sell a product. The ones that stick
Yeah.
around and like want to ride shotgun with you, fuck those guys. I'm
And
sorry,
you
but
got a good
like,
feeling too that they're not gonna, like, try and pressure you that
yeah,
much
exactly.
relative to the guy who's gonna, "You gotta take me with you. It's a liability with the insurance."
Yeah. I think except for the Tesla, obviously, then Tesla is a point to sale model, but the Expedition and the Focus, both of them were here. Go have fun, go test drive it. If you like it, we can talk numbers. And I came back and said, I like it. Let's talk some numbers.
That's
It all
awesome.
worked out. Yeah. So if you get, so it sounds like midsize is the way to go. You could do Z71. Have you actually, hold on. Have you test driven the Colorado yet? The
Yeah.
new one,
My I took my
Z71.
girlfriend with me too, and I was like, "There's one, it had the exact options I wanted." I was like, because I originally was like, maybe the Trail Boss." I was like, "Oh, what is this new platform capable of?" Like, so I basically test drove it, had, like, the Z71 equipment level 3. It was, like, 1 or 2 little accessories away from being, like, the most loaded one.
Hmm.
$49,000 sticker truck, and I'm like, I grew up around a lot of Chevys, like the NBS Chevy, like new body style Chevys is what like my dad and his friends had as their tow rigs for their campers. I used to work at the Chevy dealership in like 2017, so that was like when the new diesel Colorados were coming out and that generation of Silverado was going on, and I like had experience with the newer 1500s. That was like the biggest jump in advancement I've ever seen any vehicle from GM ever, other than maybe the interior from the C6 to the C7. Like the software is completely different. It's the like everything felt so much more refined. Like I have the Bose stereo in my Mazda. I've heard the other Bose stereos. The one in the
Mm-hmm.
Colorado, it's like a whole other generation. It's a whole nother like it's what you'd expect in like a $50,000 vehicle,
That's good.
you know? And
Yeah.
I mean, it's like my girlfriend sat in it. She drove it around for a little bit. She's like, this is something that if like she needed to drive it, it'd be palatable. Um, and there's plenty of room in the back seat still. Drove really well, but the power, it's funny that 2.7, it drives like a diesel. The way it builds boosts, you know how like you really
Oh
kind of
yeah.
gotta get on the throttle a little bit and then it'll really start getting to full boost. It drives like a diesel in that sense and it builds torque like a diesel. It's really crazy, but you can tell it's a torquey motor and not like a horsepower motor. Which is a
Yeah,
good
that's
thing.
a lot of turbocharged cars.
So
I would say, yeah. I think for your situation, if you're gonna buy a truck if you're gonna buy a truck this year, by the end of this year, realistically, the Colorado or Canyon twins, they're your best bet. Ford Ranger, they're still not out yet, and even when they do get into production, same thing with the Tacoma, in my opinion. Any first year model car, I would say, is probably one to stay away from, because you could run into just production issues. No one
that's
in
exactly what's
I mean,
happening now. Like they have a
yeah,
stop production on them now
and
because
then
it
they find
was,
a fix, and then they'll fix it, and you're good to
you know,
go. But
it's so
Toyota
cynical,
isn't
but
like that though.
let's, yeah, true for the most part. There have been some cases where like first year models, even at Toyota or Honda, is not the one to go for, and
Yeah, but
even
it's
if
like
it's not
minor
about,
stuff, and then it's recalled, and then they fix it.
yeah. The
and
other
all
reason
it's
I would
funny.
say to go for, I was gonna say, is the other reason to go for like a second year or third year model is a lot of times there's options that come out that are desirable.
Mm, that is true.
I just think,
That's
well, I'd think like also I just in terms of waiting, right? Like, well, now they have all these issues. If I bought one, there's a higher chance of me dealing with these issues, and because of all these issues, it's going to cause depreciation faster because these issues
yeah.
exist.
That's
And
why you buy a used one. You
yeah,
can
exactly.
catch in on the depreciation.
Yeah. So if I could spend like 40,000 on like a gently used C71, I'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, cool.
You guys know what I'm looking at right now?
You're
G80s.
looking at
You,
M3s.
what are you looking at? Uh-oh, Fez froze. He's not
No.
talking.
Nah,
Or
can
he's
you
left.
see it? Can you see the screen?
Wait, I need to go and go watch stream. The GX.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right? Like that's what I want.
What do you all think about that design?
I
I
love
like
it.
it a lot.
I
I think
like it too.
It's
I think it's
basically
like
a
nice.
reliable defender.
Yep.
Seriously, they basically said that modern Toyota and Land Rover are going to have a child. This is what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
It's a
I
great
looked at
color
him.
too.
I went to the build site and spec'd it out, and the only issue for me personally, because I do need a third row, I use the third row enough that it's worth it to me. The
Mhm.
Overtrail model or Overtrail trim does not come with a third row. If you want a third row, you cannot get the Overtrail trim. That's the only downside for me.
I don't want a third
But
row, so I'm good.
yeah, for you it'd be awesome. For you, Kenny, Raza,
Why do you need
all
a
of you
third
too.
row again?
Or whenever Carol's family comes into town, which is far more frequently than I talk about. Like her aunt, uncle, both aunts actually.
But
Like whenever we
can't
go
they just
and drive around,
themselves?
I don't trust them driving. It makes me feel bad having them on the road. If I could do something to get them off the road, I'm doing everyone a service. I really hope they don't listen to this podcast. But
Is that a racist jokes against Asian people?
no, not at all. That's just
You saying Asians
they could
can't
drive
drive?
better.
You racist bitch.
Nope. Wait, no, I'm not saying.
Got him! Got him! Get him!
Let's put it this
We
way.
got him, boys. We got him.
They are the type of people that I've seen leave the house with their headlights turned off.
You just
it's
have the
like
fucking
10 p.m. at night.
wasted sound effect from GTA playing in the background, like
Got him.
getting
Yeah.
busted.
Okay. Can we go into a bonus content?
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
for it.
So this past weekend, Carol and I went over to the RV Expo convention, whatever you call it, the RV show in downtown Austin. It was on Saturday, and oh man, we got hooked onto the idea of getting a toy hauler. I need to share my screen.
That's bound to
Let
happen.
me do this.
I thought you were already hooked.
Not on a toy hauler. So I don't know if you can see my screen now. Actually, hold on. Can I do? There we go.
Oh, it's my screen still. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Well, I can see my screen because
Okay.
Sharon. Okay, so check this. Okay, so ATC, they are an trailer company, but they also make these toy haulers, and I always thought that the toy haulers were fifth wheels only, but you can actually buy a toy hauler that is a travel trailer setup. And so
Yeah, that's what what's his name has. Eric Jensen. Yeah, Eric Jensen has the same thing. He tows his FRS with it.
well, I knew they exist. Wait, okay, is his model, is it a fifth wheel or is it a conventional towing model?
What's the difference?
So conventional towing is what you and I do. Is using the conventional towing trailer ball off the back of the bumper, where a fifth wheel is like a semi. You hook onto the inside the bed of the truck.
Yeah, he has that. He has the dovetail. Not the dovetail. What's it called? The gooseneck trailers.
Gooseneck. Yeah. So these are non-gooseneck toy haulers. Is what this
Does he have
is.
the gooseneck? I gotta look it up now because I know he has something that he tows his.
I bet he has a
FRS
gooseneck.
to.
So Brian, like my tuner with JHC Performance, he has a gooseneck trailer. And he's able to fit his GR86, but then also his Z06 Corvette fits in there barely, but like it does technically fit in there. And with that, he has a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. So in any case, when we were at the RV show, I saw that there were several companies making toy haulers that were conventional towing, something that Fez's truck or my expedition could theoretically tow. And I'm now hooked on like ATC trailers, and I think it's such a badass idea that you could fit the Focus inside while also still having your restroom and bedroom. The downside is that the weight capacity at full weight is 13,000 pounds, 13,200 pounds, and the expedition is limited to 10K. They have smaller
my
models.
truck can't even do that.
Oh yeah, they have a smaller model, the 2015 travel trailer, and it can do, if you're fully loaded, it's at 11,000 pounds. But theoretically, with the Focus or the trailer itself is 5,000 plus.
So GVWR is like not that's like your max allowable rated load.
Right. Yeah, I know.
But like your
like realistically, right?
6,000.
Realistically, I would probably be at about 10K. Because here's the thing. This it says right here, estimated base model. Oh, normally it says like dry weight, but I'm assuming that 5,000 pounds is dry weight, which then means you have to load it up with water, with fuel. It has a 30-gallon fuel tank up in the front, propane tanks as well, and then that probably adds 1,000 pounds. So call it 6,000, and then the Focus itself weighs 3,500 pounds. So that's going to be an additional. That brings it up to like 9,500. So it would be right under what the Expedition can tow. But this would be an option. This would be like the option that the Expedition can tow. But the ideal one would be get a slightly bigger truck, like the new Ram Charger that can tow 14,000 pounds. And then you can have a bedroom up to the front while still having the garage space. It's so sick. It just costs like $100,000.
Yeah, I was about to say, how much does it
What's
cost?
the damage?
But you can get a 15-year loan. So, financial advice on this podcast.
So what's the monthly payment like?
It'd probably be like $500 a month. It's not terrible. If you have no other car loans, then like it's doable.
Hey, Nick, we were just talking about life contingencies. You can live in this one.
It's a backup living quarters. If I were to suddenly go full remote, I could.
When your broke ass friends come over, they can sleep in there, because they don't want to pay for a hotel.
Yeah, I'll throw in our couple rooftop tents up on the roof of the trailer, and y'all can sleep up there like bunk bed style.
The last few years when we've had the freezes in Texas, my dad and stepmom will just go into the shop and turn on the generator in the RV, open one of the doors so it won't, smog out or whatever. And so they just chill in the RV in the shop with the generator on while the freeze is happening.
Yeah, when the freeze came through Houston, what's Houston? Where were we?
Also, I just did the math. It's not $500. It's $555 a month without any interest rate on a 15-year loan. So add interest, it's like close to $600, $650.
Wait, on how much of a loan?
$100K.
It wouldn't be 100. I wouldn't do 100K fully. I do like 20K down and then finance. So okay, do 80K. Probably saves like $50, and then I can say it's $500 a month. I can't tell if you're doing math or if your internet went out.
$450.
Boom.
Without interest. So add interest, it's like $550.
Yeah, 500.
Boy, math. Round down so your wife doesn't know.
Exactly. Oh, okay. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Meme from the shop. It was like, for an extra $5, we'll print you a receipt, or email you a receipt for what you told your wife.
That's hysterical. You should offer that option on Marisa Motorsports.
For extra $5, we'll change your receipt.
That's hysterical. But yeah, so speaking of money and telling wives, so Fez, remember one of my lines in the vows that I did? Actually, Richard, you as well. I forgot you were there. Standing in the back.
You drunk invited me.
Yeah, that actually happened. I drunk invited Richard and forgot. But hey, you're in my thoughts, in my drunk thoughts. So you know what they say. Drunk thoughts are sober thought. Oh wait, no. Drunk words are sober thoughts. That's what I meant to say. In any case, so one of the vows was that I would always tell Carol before I buy an expensive item that, hey, I need to buy this expensive item. I just need to tell her up front. That all kind of happened today where I almost like broke it. So basically, I'm talking to
that was quick.
Talking to a friend in the Focus community, and he convinced me to go and actually just go ahead and buy an aftermarket clutch for the Focus rather than using an OEM clutch. I think I'm underestimating how much power the Focus will make on E85 because I'm also not taking into account the wastegate actuator. And apparently, Focus RSs that have the wastegate actuator and are on E85 and an aftermarket intercooler are putting out 400 wheel horsepower. I thought I was going to be under that. I thought it would be more around like 380, 370. In any case, the OEM clutch just doesn't hold at those power levels, supposedly.
Makes sense.
So he convinced me to go ahead and buy an ACT clutch, flywheel, and while I'm in there, throw a bearing, and I think something else that came in the kit. But yeah, that was $1,500 I had to plop down. And I told Carol after I bought it when I got home. I told her
you broke your vow.
I broke my vow, but I told her the day of.
You broke your vow. Within a week. Within a week of being married.
Within a week, being the first thing you probably bought for the car.
Shame on you.
True. But I told her, hey, I told her, my justification was that like I need to buy now. He was egging me on, and I don't like to bother her at work.
Wait, so
terrible excuse.
What do you need to buy it now?
Because I wanted to get it installed on March 17th, like the weekend after Super Lap Battle.
Yeah, but it takes like a couple days to get there.
What are you saying?
It's a 2-day delivery, so like you could have waited a day to buy it.
Yeah, but the guy's doing a deal. Like
What's the deal?
I don't know. It saved me like $200.
Bro, I could have saved you a lot more. I have wholesale accounts.
So did this guy.
Okay, I know, but he's still making profit off of you.
Yeah, probably. But he's also gonna help me install it. Are you gonna help me install a clutch?
Fuck it, we ball, bro. I'm coming to Austin anyways.
On that weekend?
Pizza and lemonade.
I mean,
Richard's coming over. Actually, Fez, you should come over. We'll have an install party doing
I'll
the
even
clutch.
bring the race car. I'll even bring my car.
anyways,
For Richard, it's not that big of a deal because he lives pretty close. Anyway, so yeah, new clutch getting installed on the Focus. Another expense, but it probably is for the better. Because I would hate to go and do the OEM clutch install and then first event I start slipping the clutch because I'm making too much power.
You should just do that. You should go aftermarket anyways, because normally they're a lot lighter, and you got to have some sort of tolerance.
I had this OEM clutch sitting on the
you
shelf
build
for
it
like
for it.
2 years, and I just was trying to save money until next year because I want to rebuild the transmission next off season.
straight cut gears.
No.
And you do
I'll
that
think
in
about
street
it.
class.
I have no idea. I think you can. I don't remember them ever saying anything against it.
You can what?
Do straight cut gears.
There's no benefit for straight cut gears besides like reliability.
Yeah.
You're not shifting any faster, are you?
I don't think so. Not unless you do sequential. I know you cannot do sequential, but just doing straight cut gears in a otherwise stock gearbox. I should not. I'm gonna be talking on my ass in this one because it's not something I've ever looked into, so I don't know the benefits.
Well, anyways, I think that was the podcast, right?
Yep. So Richard's gonna go and buy a Colorado Canyon. He's already fallen in love, and we were unable to convince him to get anything bigger, but he doesn't need to because his dad has a bigger truck anyways.
So in summary,
monster truck.
So in summary,
Richard's getting a Colorado, and he's gonna borrow his dad's truck for when he needs to go on long trips. Nick broke his vows within a week of being married, and then I am really confused
Desperately
what I'm
trying
gonna
to
do.
put together a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Basically, and that was your podcast. Thank you for joining today.
Sweet. Anyways, yeah. Thank you everyone for listening to this rant of a podcast about truck stuff. So, any last words, Richard? What else you got to say?
Appreciate y'all having me on, and I'm excited for the next one.
Yep. This weekend, I'm going up to Dallas. Oh, and then the following weekend, Super Lap Battle. So maybe one more podcast before Super Lap Battle weekend. But if not, then see maybe some people over at Super Lap Battle in Austin. As I just.
Alrighty.
Anyways, talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.